The S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, that's what we're talking about here on the day. Specifically, we talk about the range that we've been trading in here on ES and NQ, and it appears on the day that we're kind of breaking out of this range, specifically near the end of the day. We can see that we kind of reached that top, but again, to get continuation to the upside, we needed to mount above 44.25 on ES, the S&P 500, and then on Nasdaq 15.4. If we were unable to get above those, then we expected to trade back down into this range back and forth. Right? That's been kind of like the viewpoint of the channel for the past few days / week and a half, right? So we pushed up to that level earlier this week. We rejected, obviously, back down to where we're at now. Okay, so today, some of the areas I do want to talk about, breaking back below around 43.50, not ideal, could push us back to the lower end of this 4,300. Also equate this range back to SPY, 431.5. We've talked a lot about this, and I've also had it all over my Twitter, so you guys know. So I recommend you check that out as well there. So you can also see we're getting back below that. Not ideal. Okay. Now, what I will say a little bit into this as well, and we'll go over Nasdaq real quick as well before I jump into that. But you can see we're getting below that around 15,050 range also. So breaking back below 15,000 would be damaging, in my opinion, to say the least. Right? And it most likely get us pushing back down to that lower 14.8, 14.7 range as well, which is that monster support we've been talking about for a while, right? So needless to say, short-term trading in a range, if not trading back into that lower range, back into those local lows here that we saw in September. Okay, I don't want to jump to the gun, but we need to talk about a few things as well. Now, we had Tesla earnings here in the after hours. They're pushing back to the downside. Worth mentioning, Tesla earnings are always trash. Like, they never really give you a great move in either direction. IV crush most likely is going to occur tomorrow. Netflix earnings. Netflix, I've been talking a lot about these guys. What I will say is I think Netflix was really cheap, and I've kind of been saying that. I mentioned it on my Instagram shorts and YouTube shorts as well. So Netflix is doing pretty good. And to give you a visual of what's happening with their subscriber growth, let me pull this up real quick. This is like the best visual you're going to see. So you saw basically 16 through 2020, pretty decent growth, really downtick in 2022 and rising back up. So it makes sense that Netflix is getting love. What I will say though, we look at competitors such as HBO, you look at Disney, etc., Hulu, whatever you want to look at, right? All their subscriber bases continue to drop. Netflix is raising prices and they're getting growth. Good overall news there. That's why Netflix is doing very good in the after hours at like 390 right now, I believe, or 490, or sorry, I'm all over the place. 390 locally, almost back up to 400. Okay, that's where we're at there. So that's what we're reviewing. That's what we're looking at. Now, I don't believe we have any crazy earnings coming in for the rest of the week. We have TSM tomorrow, but nothing else too big. And it's important to realize, too, semiconductors are still very weak, like we mentioned from yesterday. That's where we're seeing a bulk of this pain. It's worth mentioning you possibly are forming a head and shoulders here, but you need to be watching for confirmation below 400 before you start jumping the gun there. We go and look at DXY, and again, this leads you to a lot of concern as well. You're still operating in this range, ranging above 105.8 to 107, 107.2 roughly, right? You go into oil, we look at that level there as well. You're still ranging in between those levels also, 94 into 82 roughly, and we're spinning right back and forth. Uptick is in line with everything that's happened. Before we go into anything else, I will say I have to ask you to consider doing two things. Consider liking and subscribing. It helps out the channel tremendously. Appreciate all love and support. Also, too, the Discord link is down below if you are interested. Never feel like you need to join. But again, if you want to get hand holding why we're trading, what we're getting in, swing trades, etc., maybe Discord is for you. But again, we have a lot of free content here on the channel. Now, one more thing that I do want to say is going into today's video and a sponsor that we do have. And before we go any further, I want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of this video and a new sponsor of the channel, Chart Prime. But what if I could tell you now we have something in a tool that's going to be able to give you all of our key levels or a little bit of a cheat sheet going into these as well. And then also breaking down massive levels you need to be watching for buyers and sellers in between the charts. Or what if you can also go into your chart, quickly identify the patterns that are there, whether it be broadening wedges, head and shoulders, double tops, or anything along those lines. And one thing that you guys know is that I'm never going to stand behind a product that I wouldn't use myself. That's why every single day I am officially going to be using Chart Prime and these specific indicators to help us on the live streams and in the daily videos to make charting quicker, faster, and of course giving us advantage to see things that we may have missed that AI will no longer be missing. And this is just one chart. If you're interested, the link will be down below. And if you use our code, you'll get 30% off every single month. Make sure you check them out. And if you have questions, feel free to comment down below. Let's get back to the video. So we're going to go over to equities here in a second, but I want to cover a few things in between before we jump the gun necessarily there. And I am in the process of getting my trading view back set up. It's just not all set up completely yet. So I'm jumping back and forth as we speak. So the few things that we're looking at here. Now, in my opinion, we'll look at Nasdaq in a second on TradingView. But if you hold below 15,000, you're probably coming back down in this range. Important to realize that, important to understand that. But still looking at broad markets, a lot of these names are still at massive levels. I can only say this so much, and people are going to be unhappy. They're going to be like, Tyler, you're still biasly bullish or this, whatever. I'm not necessarily bullish on the market. I am just sitting on the sidelines. The only trade that I have open right now besides Tesla for 2025 is my Costco trade. But yeah, you're still sitting at major levels. You have Microsoft above 330. You have Meta holding up very well still up in the after hours at 317. I can go on a laundry list of these names, still all trying to perform. Amazon kind of holding up, but still, you'd like to see it above 130. But some of these names are still holding up very strong. Okay. Now, we have to also recognize that earnings season is here, right? And so what does that mean? Next week, we have more earnings coming out. We're going to have Microsoft, Apple, etc. So it's important that we're under this understanding, at least, that earnings so far have been decent. Okay. Banks did well. Tech starting off good. Tesla, Netflix beat, right? LRCX also beat. Now, what I will say is we look at LRCX, which is a good visual of chips. They are down in the after hours, but still they did beat, right? So earnings so far are beating, and you can either equate that to, having bad outlooks or whatever you want. Needless to say, earnings are doing well. Now, the one area that still clouds the market and is definitely reason for concern is oil in the dollar and then yields based on what's happening with the Middle East right now. We can go on the laundry list of these names. They're all the yields are still sky high. So as long as we have this tension in the Middle East, I think there's going to be a little bit of clouding and a little bit back and forth, especially on oil and the dollar. But what I will say, again, America continues to say, and they even said today, if Hezbollah invades Israel, there is no agreement that America will get involved. This is America's words, right? This is the spokesperson for America that came out and says today. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to ever get involved, but they continue to voice their logic. They keep saying, we don't want to do anything here. We want to let them sort it out. We want nothing to do with it. So again, if that's the bias or if that's really what America wants to do, it has me on this viewpoint of I'm not super concerned right now with it yet. I think it's going to be a problem. I think it could be a problem, but it's not something on the top of my list. Okay. Also, too, unless Iran gets involved, I do think oil will come back down. Personally, it's my opinion. Don't attack me. That's what I view there. Right now, again, in the short term, while tensions are high, it makes sense that we're volatile back and forth, and you're still operating in that range between 94, 84, 82, give or take. Okay. Understand that. These are things that we need to be viewing, need to be understanding, and need to just ultimately keep in the back of our mind right now, right? So I'm not YOLOing in anything. Where, and I want to be really clear, where am I looking to go long, right? When am I looking to get confidently long, right? Let's go to the daily here, right? I'm looking to confidently get long above 15.4. I can only say it so many times. People are going to get upset. They're going to yell. They're going to say things. They're going to be like, Tyler, you're flipping. I'm like, I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how else. 15.4 ES 44.25. Clear as day. All I can say there. Don't know what else to say. What I will say on the bad note, the only ugly thing that I don't like is the fact that you're coming back into that 4,400 level, 44.25. Again, the key level we continue to mention, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches of this level, and you have rejected nonstop so far. So those are things to keep in the back of your mind. That from a technical point of view, if you continue to reject here, it's pretty ugly, and it comes back down to that massive level mentioned there as well. Okay, and then number 2, I will also say is it would not shock me. Okay, I continue to say the same thing. But again, I don't know how to not be misinterpreted here. I don't know how. It would not shock me if SPY just bounces tomorrow. It would not, right? Because we need to understand. I mean, if tech earnings beat again and they do good, right? Everyone's saying the sky is falling, yields are an issue, the dollar is going crazy, this, that. But for some reason, the market keeps showing resilience like it has been the past year. I have to imagine what has happened before will happen again. And the market will rally based on earnings if earnings perform well, right? So there's a lot of, ifs and coulds that could happen over the next week or two, but it's important that we're staying in touch with reality, or at least we're trying to. Okay, understand that. That's my viewpoint. That's my visual there. Okay, what I will say too, VIX did come back into that $20 region. Points are, remember that you did get rejected so far, but I am looking at that as well. Also, too, we talked about potential of the double bottom playing out over 177 on IWM. You did get rejected. You never got there, so we never got confirmation there either. Okay, so these are things that I'm looking at for a viewpoint on the market. Okay, now for myself, was I trading? What was I looking at today? Giving you the best idea there. Right? I want to be really transparent, really clear what we were doing in Discord today. Only thing we looked at in Discord, shout out to Jay Ream. I had to take a personal day, had a lot of stuff to do today. But again, Jay all morning was calling out what was happening here on NVIDIA. He was going short all day long on NVIDIA. Shorting. It literally went down, just got hammered. Only trade on the day for us. I go over this so I can explain things to you guys, right? Because I talk about certain things here on YouTube, I think people think that I blindly trade some of these, right? But it's very important to understand how we trade and why we trade. We're trading reactions. We're looking to make sure things are lining up with our thesis. If I'm looking at tomorrow as bullish, I don't necessarily just go into the market as soon as the morning hits. I'm like, okay, well, my video last night was bullish. I'm not going to look at the action overnight. I got to go with the video, right? I'm watching those levels, and that's why I give you that roadmap or show you that overall range so you can understand what we're looking at as well, right? In Discord, congratulations. The guys killed it. They did really good today. Shout out to those guys, for real. So good job. Anyways, that's the viewpoint there. Okay, so broke that down as much as possible. Hopefully that all makes sense. Now, again, I do want to go over a few things really quickly. So one, Costco, I'm probably going to be mentioning Costco a lot here going forward just because I love this name. Probably one of my favorite names here. Absolutely love Costco. Okay, absolutely love what's happening here. You're still operating very bullishly. You're still pushing up. You still look really good, right? Okay, I'm going to highlight that, put that there so you can see. Also, I do want to mention, just bring a little bit of a box right here so you can see as well, right? A sitting triangle playing out there. So I've gone into why I love this, gone into everything else. And you can also see, again, like I mentioned, like getting in those key levels with the indicator from Chart Prime, you can see it's already bringing that level right to where we mentioned as well, 571.5. Love to see it. Okay, so you're breaking up, you look good. Now you had some news in the after hours on Costco. Their CEO stepped down, but this was kind of already planned and someone else is stepping in. And they also got a quarterly dividend coming on Costco. I am a bull on Costco. Don't know how to say it. I'm a bull on Costco. I love it. I'm still net long. Love it. Big fan. The only two positions I have on my personal account, Costco, Tesla, the end. Those are, and Tesla are pretty big leaps. Costco for December for myself. So that's what we're looking at there. Now, I could go on a laundry list of some of these names, okay? But again, we're at a pretty influential level. So let me be really clear before I go into any other equities, okay? I want to be very clear for you, okay? I want there to be no confusion. If SPY stays below 431.5, okay, it should be up a little bit higher, about right there. Okay, if you stay below this level, really listen. I am bearish. Okay, you saw how I said that? Okay, if you get above 41.35, I am bullish into 437, 436 roughly, right? This is how the range has been trading. So someone today, also too on Twitter, I read all your comments. I really do read them all. Okay. But someone said something today here. They said, because I commented on the daily watch list thing I post here. Ranges can resolve up and down. Your ranges assume an up bias. So I'm biased in a specific direction. But do you understand? If we are range trading in this box here, When we go up and hit this, I expect to come down. When we come up and touch the 431 level, I expect to bounce. Why? Because that's the way levels work. That's the way I trade. I don't know what else to say. Now, again, we get below this level, like I've said, then guess what? We come to the bottom of this range and we expect some downside, right? So then my bias on that range flips to the downside. But what I will say is that when I look at the market, I am very aware that there's a high possibility that we take this Netflix earnings and the earnings that we're getting right now with everything beating and we run with it to the upside, especially when we look at bank earnings. I'm telling you, bank earnings beating were big. That was a very big outlook because if anything should be hurting based on yields, DXY, and everything that's happening, it's banks. Okay, so I want to make sure that's clear. So I'm not looking at upside on any of these names if we're below 431.5 on SPY. I want to make sure that's clear. Number one, Microsoft, absolutely love it. Big fan here. So we look at Microsoft, what are we looking at? So number one, you want to be above 430, boom, 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 right about there. So if we're above 430, we like it, okay? Now, a few levels that you're looking to trade inside of this, right? So number one, I like going into 433, roughly right about there. That's your first target. So above 430, you're looking for 433. High possibility, though, we can start getting some real love. And I think this is the area that we need to be looking at. The fact that some of these names are holding up so well, even though the indexes are kind of getting slapped today, is very telling. What do I mean by that? I do believe, and I've been saying it for a while, I believe Microsoft, with any type of help from indexes, if we start breaking above 15.4, Microsoft is running back into highs. You heard it here first. Shoot the messenger. I don't care, right? I'm telling you. If we start to get a breakout, we start to get the love on indexes, which is totally possible with earnings beating now. It's totally possible in the realm of possibilities. Be on the lookout. So I definitely like Microsoft for scalps into 433, but I also like this to run. You need to be looking at that. Number two, Amazon. Amazon's one of the easier names to be watching right now. Okay, I want to be really clear about this. So with Amazon, and I just need to get the account set back up on TradingView. But what I'd be watching here is your 100 SMA. Okay, I want to make sure you understand what I'm talking about here. So this is your 100 SMA. It's right. Where's it? Where you at, buddy? Come on. Come out. Yeah, there you are. Above, right here, 131.5. I'm bullish. Below this, I don't want to trade Amazon. No desire. Okay. Below this, I have to identify and say you possibly are making a bear flag here on the higher time frames. But you get above that, I love Amazon back to the upside. You still haven't got that gap fill around 135. Definitely in the cards. I'm not going to be touching Netflix. Now I'm going to mention it. NVIDIA, you got to get above 440 until I want to touch it. Not interested at all down here either. Next up to AVGO. So we're seeing semiconductors show weakness, right? But something that interests me when I'm looking at weakness in the broad market is this. If a name in that specific sector is holding its own, okay, and I do believe AVGO is holding its own. So let's talk about some of the levels here and what I like here. Okay, so with AVGO, number one, if you're holding in the levels 889 right here, okay, 889, you can zoom out. You remember back here was a massive, massive level, okay? If you hold 889 and you're above SPY 431, okay, those are two things that have to happen. I like the upside. I like to scalp to the upside. I like it to hit 900. I like it even possibly to run back into 920 with this nice bull flag that you're forming up here at highs. Big fan. I love to see it. I love what's happening. I like what AVGO is doing. Okay, you got to hold 889 and SPY has to be above 431. Don't know how else to say it. Below that, not interested. I mean, honestly, below 889, you could still trade it to the downside, possibly back into 870, but I just don't want to trade. I just don't want to trade the downside here. I just have no desire, especially with where we're at, right? I don't like trading the bottom of the range. It's how I like to trade, right? That's just what works for me. So I hope you guys understand that. I'm not going to go too in detail with a lot of names. The biggest, best one I'm telling you right now, grab your wife, tell her, say, show me the card, baby. Show me the card. I'm not talking about the credit card. I'm not talking about your Walgreens card, your Amex. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the only card that matters. It's your Costco Gold membership, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking $1.50 glizzies till the day I die. I'm telling you, Costco's chart has got me so excited. It's got me going crazy. It's got me looking like I just got out of church and I just went to a Luby's and I'm all suited up right now. I'm talking Southern Baptist Luby's on the weekend on a Sunday. You know what I'm talking about. I'm absolutely jaws on the ground. I'm salivating like a dog. I'm absolutely excited about this chart, guys. I'm telling you. Costco, 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 Costco. We got good deals, right? The evolution of the MILFs, everything and above. I'm absolutely excited for these guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.